I'll get us started and then give it to Vanessa and Vanessa. All right, let's get the meeting started. I'm David Jones. I will be the Sergeant at Arms tonight to start us off. And I just wanted to welcome everybody and say hello. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our president, Vanessa Waller. And Vanessa, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, David. And welcome everyone to another edition of Queen City Toastmasters. I'm Vanessa Waller. As David mentioned, I am currently the president of the club for those who may be joining us for the first time. And speaking of which, I always like to say a special welcome to our guests who may be joining us either in person or on Zoom. It looks like we have maybe one guest on Zoom. We have someone joining us named Ken. So welcome, Ken, if you're new. And usually we have some guests in person as well. Dr. Harvey, I know you as our VP of membership usually introduce our in-person guests. Are there any people who are new to the club want to say hello and kind of share why they're here?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster Vanessa, thank you for the introduction. For our first guest today live, I would like to introduce Take. Take is from Japan. He recently moved here. And Take, would you make an introduction why you joined Toastmaster here, or why you come to the meeting, and what are your goals?
So I'm from Japan. My name is Take. I'm from Japan, and I used to go to Toastmasters back in Japan, and I just wanted to check out what it's like in the States, and try to, improve myself, my public speaking skills. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's so cool to have someone as far away as Japan joining us here in Charlotte.
Yes. Take said that in America, everything is very, very big. People with big dream, big goal, big people. But now, Take, I want to say that in Japan, you have Godzilla, right? Now, for our next guest, like to Mariah, and also coming with her fiance, Troy. Would you both make an introduction?
My name is Mariah, and I was looking forward to coming to this meeting. I'm always trying to, English is not my first language, so I always try to improve. This is for improving in my business and my personal life. That's all. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey everybody, my name.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Troy. I'm here because she said I had to be here. So good enough reason is any, right? Now I'm looking to also find out more about Toastmasters. I've heard of it, never really knew exactly what they did. I have no fear of public speaking. I've spoken to crowds as large as 5,000 in the Georgia Dome and in a TED Talk type format. So, but you can always improve and learn some new skills. So I'm here to see what it's all about. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent. And whenever I see a couple coming together, it's just one of the way to not only work on strengthening your skill, but also strengthening the bond between you both. And we're very honored and delighted to have you with us. Now, for our next guest, definitely you guys seen Alain before from the other club from Valentine, right? Valentine Club. And Alain is a phenomenal speaker. I love listening to Alain speak. Can you make a brief introduction?
Hi, everyone. My name's Alain Assad. I am visiting this club from Valentine Toastmasters, and I've been a Toastmaster for 4 years now. And this was one of those nights I didn't have to work or do anything else more fabulous, so I thought I'd come visit. And I'm sorry if I was being too loud a minute ago. I was really excited to see our next guest.
Hey, my name is Matt Stetzler. I'm from the Valentine, or I used to be part of the Valentine Toastmasters as well. I think during COVID, I just kind of stopped going, but I think I want to start going again. So it's in person. And I'm just happy to be here. But thank you.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us.
Yes. Oh, Junior, my man, how are you? So as you guys know, Junior has been coming here as guest a couple of times already. And Junior, you seem like a natural when you came up there and speak with type of topic. And can you make an introduction for our guests and also our other members?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Junior. This is my third time here. I am just grateful to be here. I've been wanting to practice my public speaking skills. So I am looking to make it a habit of coming here every week. So thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Junior. Great to have you.
That's it
All
on our
right.
end.
Do we have any more guests, Dr. Harvey, or is that everyone?
That was everyone here.
All right. Well, welcome again. And I think we just have, again, 2 guests on Zoom. We have Eugene. I'm guessing that maybe Eugene, our former member, may not be correct on that, but welcome either way to Eugene and Ken joining us on Zoom. So with that, we have an exciting agenda coming up because we have 2 really amazing and energizing speakers today. And to help us get into the flow of our meeting and prepare us to hear those excellent speeches, we have a Toastmaster of the evening. And joining us this evening as our Toastmaster is Alain Kemayou. So let's give a warm welcome to Alain.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vanessa, for the introduction. My name is Alain Kemayou, and I'm going to be your Toastmaster for tonight. And the theme of my tonight is happiness. And how did I come up with that theme? I am a soccer coach at YMCA, and it is very interesting to work with children because they are great students and they are also great instructors. I was working on one of the tricks with them, and one of them was dancing the whole time, and I turned to her and be like, "Why are you dancing?" She just told me, "This is happiness doing this to me." And I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "This is happiness." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "You know when you do something that you didn't know you could do, and then you end up finding out that you're very master at it?" I said, "Yes, that's what happens to me." And I smile and I dance. And I said, "Okay, that's interesting." And another kid jumped into the conversation. He jumped into the conversation uninvited. He just told me, "I think it is good that you know that the opposite of happiness is sadness." I said, "Thank you. I didn't know. Thank you. Thank you very much." And I started spinning my mind, right? And I'm having this conversation with adults, and I asked them, "Can anybody give me the definition of happiness?" They all made it so complicated for me. They were like, happiness is like when, it depends on your perspective, like you mean happiness in your life, like the relationship at work. I said, no, just a simple definition. Most adults couldn't give me that simple definition like the kids did. And my children are between 7 and 8. And that started spinning in my mind still. And I looked that up online. And the definition of happiness, they say, "Oh, happiness is a noun." I said, "Okay." They say happiness is the state of being happy. I said, "Yeah, that's great." And it's an example. John never found happiness in his life. I said, "Man, poor John, why are they putting your business out there like that?" So for tonight, I need somebody to give me a straightforward definition of happiness. What does it mean to you, or something that makes you happy? Please, don't let adults down. I need somebody in the crowd to tell me what happiness means, or give me something that makes you happy. Any volunteer? Or online? Okay, please.
Music makes me happy. Any type of music, it makes me happy. If I want to lift up my spirit, I just start singing. So music makes me happy.
Thank you. Straightforward definition, simple, right? So I feel like happiness is just all about, happiness is cultural, happiness is universal. I feel like what can make me happy might mean nothing to you, or what makes me happy might be the opposite of what makes you happy. We have countries out there where people have electricity 1 or 2 hours a month, right? They're happy only because they have electricity during that time, and that's the time that they have to watch TV. That's the only streaming time that they have for the whole month. And in the States, you have people that are happy the day they lose electricity for 1 or 2 minutes, because that's the only time they have to have a good conversation with your children, right? So you see how crazy it goes. I feel like happiness is neither a privilege or a right. I think happiness is a choice. I think we should all expand our definition of happiness by adding more elements of happiness in our life. We'll be discussing 3 forms of happiness throughout this meeting. And before we get to that point, I'm gonna ask for your permission to introduce the people that will help me make this meeting successful tonight. And with that being said, the first person on my list is gonna be the inspirational / joke master. Please help me welcome Dr. Toastmaster Harvey.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alain. Phenomenal speech. I was writing down what you wrote about happiness, and I thought I knew what happiness is. But once I listened to what you said, now I'm going to expand my definition of happiness. Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and honorable guests, here as well as online. For our inspiration tonight, I'm going to share with you the definition of what makes me happy. Back then, I had different idea of what is happiness, what made me happy. Back then, it's completely different than what made me happy nowadays. As you all know, I am married, have a beautiful daughter, Hannah. They are waiting for me out in the car. Very, very supportive. Now, back then, my family was my sole source of happiness. But nowadays, I learned that my other avenue, which bring me great joy, the greatest joy ever, is to be all that I can be, to unlock my full potential, which I never knew I existed. Now, I'm not a special person. I'm just like everybody else. In fact, I made so many mistakes in my life, and I'm very happy to learn from my mistake, to be around people who help me to become a better version of myself. That being said, I strongly believe that there's so much more to your life. There's so much more that you can do. There's so much power within you. And once you let yourself have the opportunity to unlock that power, you will then discover that there is much more happiness to your life than your everyday 9-to-5 job, than your usual relationship with your wife, your kid. You will find your purpose. Open up your heart. I encourage you to give yourself an opportunity to expand your definition of what is happiness. And with that being said, I'd like to return the mic to our stellar Toastmaster of the evening.
Powerful, full of energy. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Harvey. Next is going to be Toastmaster is sort of a grammarian also. We need to find someone that will keep track of your filler words. And with that being said, I will turn it over to Toastmaster Sean. He's virtual today.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. As your grammarian for this evening, I will be introducing the word of the day, in addition to listening for improper and proper use of grammar. In addition to counter filler words such as you know, so, and etc. Word of the day is elicit. It is elicit. To get a response, information, or prompt a reaction from someone. It is a verb. I'll provide several examples. Have you managed to elicit a response from them yet? The speech elicited cheers of support. The questionnaire was intended to elicit information on eating habits. Can you elicit the happiness in your life? And they were able to elicit the support of the public. Alan, back to you.
Mr. Sean. The next up is about Toastmasters is also about keeping time of your time. And with that being said, I'm going to give this privilege to Toastmaster Elvis. It's virtual.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I have the honor to be the timer tonight. As a timer, I have the responsibility to elicit all of the speakers to remain on time. We have prepared speeches that are 5 to 7 minutes, table topics that are 1 to 2 minutes, and evaluations that are from 2 to 3 minutes. I will be given signs with green, yellow, and red background to indicate when the speakers are reaching their allotted time for the speeches. For example, for a prepared speech, at 5 minutes, I will be turning the green light. If it is a table topics, at 1 minute, and for evaluations, at 2 minutes. Same way, for prepared speeches, at 6 minutes, I will be turning the yellow. For table topics at 1.5 minutes, and for evaluations at 2.5 minutes. Likewise, at 8 minutes for prepared speeches, at 7 minutes for prepared speeches, for table topics at 2 minutes, and then for evaluations at 3 minutes. For all speeches, there will be a grace period of 30 minutes, or rather 30 seconds, in which the speakers will have to wrap up. After that time period, you will be disqualified. So, as I said, I will elicit from all the speakers to stay on time. I will be providing the report when I will called upon by the corresponding Toastmasters. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Elvis, Toastmaster Elvis. Next is going to be the ballot counting with Toastmaster Jamie. Please welcome Master Jamie.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alain, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I will be the ballot counter this evening. That means all of you have the honor and privilege to vote for your favorite speakers this evening. That is across the prepared speeches, as well as our table topics. And then the individual evaluators for those prepared speeches. For those in person, you all have ballots in front of you. So what I would encourage you to all do now is tear off the bottom portions of that, where you will be able to vote across those 3 categories. That way we're not making noise as our speakers are delivering their remarks. For those on Zoom, if you could deliver your votes to the club view on the Zoom screen, I will then be picking those up in the chat. So just go ahead and chat those directly to the club view session. At the end of the evening, I will come back and provide or share the winners of all of those categories and deliver certificates to all of those winners as well. With that, I'll turn it back to our Toastmaster, Alain.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jamie. We're almost ready to start this event. And before we do so, please check the person sitting next to you. Just nod and put a smile and give a thumbs up, you know. That's happiness. It's contagious, right? Happiness is contagious. And the very first form of happiness I'm going to share with you tonight is joy. You'll be blown. Joy is something that you can get in almost anything and everything. You just have to have the right attitude, the right mind, and the right perspective. Joy is very sneaky. It can come out of the blue and disappear. If you're a big sport fan, you might know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that guy that goes to the bar and start cheering for the team, and explaining the person next to him why he's so joyful, and knowing that that person is not sharing the same team as him. That's what happens to you when joy is just sneaking you. Now, the next time you see your team is not doing well, what happens? Your joy goes from up there to down here, and that person now is explaining to you why he's joyful. So joy is some of the things, you can find joy in some of the things, simple things that you like to do, like working out, like eating, like sleeping or reading. And I'm so joyful, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome our first speaker of tonight. She is a Pathways Dynamic Leadership Level 3. And the topic of her speech is Protector. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Andrew. Thank you, man.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the audience. I'm not sure if I'm the only one in the club that's a mother, but I'm sure we all had either have or had a mother or a mother figure in our lives. So today I dedicate this speech to my mother, my mama butterfly. That's what I call her. For those who do not know, I wrote a children's book series called Be You Butterfly. And in that story, it talks about the relationship between the mama butterfly and the little butterfly. But they start off as caterpillars. And I brought this baby with me because I once was her. And my mom looked in my eyes and she said, your name will be Andrea. And when you look up the name Andrea, it means strong warrior. And I'm kind of like that. I will fight if I need to. If you bag baby in the corner, I'll fight, but I don't like to fight. So recently I renamed myself the chocolate butterfly. But I wanted to go back. So for me to come in this world, my mom had a decision to make. She was 16, top of her class, and pregnant in 1971. At that time, girls of her generation, they didn't stay in school. They went to what we call the alternative school for those who were with child. My mom fought for my life and hers. And she decided to become a mom. She's not only a mom to me, but she's a mom to so many people. Because before I even got here, my cousin, who's 6 years older than me, mind you, she's only 16. She took care of her too. And she calls her mom. And then my god sister, who's 3 years older than me, she calls her mom. And so many more. She's like this mom that you dream of, that one that may ask you, what will make you happy? French fries or vegetables? The dream mom, right? Then she can be that mom who tells you to sit your little butt down and behave. But she was lucky enough, I will say, to have me, Andrea, as her baby. And we grew together. You've seen her here. We call her the mama of the club because she comes in and flies out. But I just wanted to dedicate the first part of my speech and say thank you for being my mom. Thank you, God, for giving her to me as my mom. Because everybody is given to someone. Even if it's not your natural born parent, it's somebody in your life that touches you. And as this is Teachers Appreciation Day of Teacher Appreciation Week, it may have been a teacher. It may have been that teacher that saw you in the corner and said, you're not really, you're very intelligent, and encourages you to speak up. Or it might have been an aunt who came to your rescue when you didn't have a mom. Or it might have been grandma, big mama, Nama. That's what my daughters called my mother because they couldn't say grandma. And so it may be someone else, but I need you to reflect on those people who helped you get where you are. And then I became a mom myself. So the first baby they put in my arms, they said, congratulations, it's a girl. And I looked down and I saw those beautiful eyes and that face that looked a lot like mine, to the point that we still call her Minnie Mouse, Mini Me today. She's about to be 30, but she was an obstinate child. She didn't want you to elicit any information from her, and she didn't care to give you any. Or she gave you too much. You got one or the other, not both. And she had told me for many years she wanted to go into the military. Not my child. I put her in wrestling. She was 5th in the state. I put her in golf. She was one of the top players on the team. I put her in chess. She became a ranked player. I put her in swimming, gymnastics, everything. She did everything. She excelled at everything. But she was a little lazy because she was too smart for her own good. So my child decided that she was going to go to the military. I said, be a good little caterpillar and go to college. She went to college. I went to law school. I get a call as I moved down here to Charlotte, and she's still in Michigan. And she says, guess where I'm at, Mom? You're at home. It's 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday. Where are you? Oh, I'm at the hotel. Okay, you're 18 at the hotel. Who are you at the hotel with? Oh, by myself. Why are you at the hotel? Oh, I took my ASVAT today and I did very, very well. And tomorrow morning I take my physical. You take your what? Your what? You're supposed to finish college first. That was the deal. My child pursued her dreams. I'll take you back a couple of years, well, like about 6 months before that. She took the ASVAT after taking this long, exhaustive test to finish getting 2 credits to graduate from high school. And I took her to take the ASVAT. She didn't do well. I thought I had her. She had me. She didn't elicit anything from me. She's always been her own person, and I admire her for that. But going to the military popped something open for Amber. Amber became the leader that she was born to be, that we had groomed her to be. She was prepared to be. So sometimes when you think it's not the thing that your child or your student or your employee or whomever you are mentoring, if you think that's not their right path, listen to them. Elicit from them what makes them happy. And I guarantee that something will pop in their head and they too will pursue their dreams. Thank you.
That was powerful and emotional. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Indra. Next, our next speaker is somebody that doesn't need to be introduced. Please help me welcome Dr. Toastmaster Harvey with his speech titled called My PR Campaign for a Public Biotech Company. Dr. Harvey, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alain. I'm very honored and happy to be here with you all. I'd like to pass around to everyone this sample of a PR campaign I'm doing for a public company, one of my clients. So I'm not gonna go through the whole thing to bore you, but it's just a sample for you to take a look at it. Now, when you think about public relation, investor relation, when you think about promoting or enhancing a brand, you tend to think doing PR for a company, an organization, for an individual. Now, let me ask you all this, fellow Toastmaster and honorable guests. Have you ever PR for yourself? Raise your hand if you have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Congratulations. Because we grow up in a society where you learn to say never to toot your own horn. But in fact, that's the exact thing you should do for your career, for your aspiration. Because if you don't toot your own horn, if you don't PR for yourself, who's going to do it for you? If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't trust in yourself, who else is going to believe in you? Let me share with you my story about how I come about to do that PR campaign for a public company. Usually, public company, biotech company engaged a guy from Wall Street sitting on this big desk in the high rise in Manhattan, which I was recruited to, and I declined. Because the director of the biotechnology research told me that don't ever dream of taking my job. So immediately I knew because I was recommended to a company by one of his associates. So I knew that was not for me. Now, typically a company would engage such Wall Street firm, big desk, huge people, that because they have so much prestige reputation. I had zero knowledge about PR, IR. But one of the things that I love to do is to walk into the unknown, doing something I'm not familiar with. So I started to learn about this business. And instead of trying to be like those guys, instead of using the language that they use, which was a lot of jargon, sophisticated language. But guess what? The language that they use are the one that they themselves understand. Not the investor, not the people who read the research. The research are so dry and boring. All this medical jargon about immunotherapy or chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy, so on and so forth, which when you say that, most people don't understand. So instead of doing that, I decided to take a different approach to PR. Now, keep in mind that when you do a PR, you can engage television outlet, newspaper, podcast, Facebook, even Twitter, because nowadays, as you know, there's that digital revolution. The internet make the medium available to almost anyone. So I started to focus on that. I started to focus on my own strength. What is it I can do to beat those guys in Wall Street? So instead of using sophisticated language, I started to focus on the client, on the reader. I dumbed down the language to the level that they can understand. I leverage on my strength. So when I approach this company, or when they approach me rather, I don't take any client. I screen them, I interview them to make sure that I can size up a CEO who's competent, who's intelligent, who can work to unlock the value for the shareholder. So they had to go through my multiple round of interview before I decided to work with them, because I don't want to recommend companies that do not work well for investor in the long term. It would hurt my brand. The language choice I use is very passionate. I want to make sure that the investor truly understands the very complicated concept. For instance, just for a brief example, for that company that I do PR for, I don't copy their PR release. I rewrote every single thing. And one of the key drugs that they make is chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy. So in short, I call it CAR-T. CAR-T. So as you guys know, cartel, you know, you would associate with something very powerful. And as you know, in your body, you have the natural defense system. It's called immune system. I call it the body natural defense system. And just like an army, you have the general, the colonel, the other commanding officer to the infantry. The body works exactly like that. So I explain that term of what the company does in that language. And CAR-T is focused on the general of the body immune system. That is the T cell. They re-engineer the T cell to give it the intelligence so that it knew exactly where the cancer cells are, because cancer cells are very sophisticated. They would evade or escape immune detection. So that is just one of the examples. In summary, let's say if you guys want to do IR or PR in the future, know your audience, know yourself, be different, be bold. Don't copy the other company. Make sure that you are unique. I don't care about the competition, because they cannot find somebody like me. I do things completely different. I have a very strong investor network with over 50,000 investors. And the way I approach them, the relationship I built for them over several decades. Company like Jazz moved from $1 to over $200. So those are the moat or the advantage that I share in that article. So fellow Toastmaster and honorable guests, I want you to believe in yourself, expand your horizon of happiness, be all that you can be it through this IRPR campaign as well as other avenues. Do that. Then let's say if you can elicit the response from the investor or whatever the other avenue you try to address in your IRPR, that's great. But if it doesn't work, experiment and continue to experiment. Last but not least, I like to send my disclaimer that this is not a recommendation to buy the stock. And it's just my opinion that I'm doing my speech. Thank you so much for your precious time. Back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Harvey. And that was a powerful speech. That was very full of energy and instructive. Thank you very much. The next, so I'll need you to keep looking at your next door and make sure your neighbor, make sure he's doing well so we can move to the next step. So the next is going to be the timers report with Toastmaster Elvis.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Andrea was at 7 minutes, 13 seconds. Dr. Harvey was 6 minutes, 30 seconds. They both qualified.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. Next, our second form of happiness for tonight is going to be excitement. People use that all the time. People use that. You hear that more often. And one thing you need to know that I need to highlight about excitement is that it is longer than the form of happiness that we talked earlier, which is joy, and it could be used as a motivating factor in your life. Excitement is easy to come because you can find different ways to broaden your horizon. You can use it to, for example, set a goal for a yearly goal. You can say, okay, I want not a yearly goal, a long-term goal. You can say, okay, I want to buy a house at the end of the year. That's a goal. That's the goal that you have. You should, at the end of the year, you're going to have your house. You're going to save more. You're going to go out less. You're going to start talking to real estate agents and all that. Backing all that together will put you in a position where you will accomplish that goal at the end of the year. You can say, hey, I want to challenge myself. I can start running 1 mile a week, and then next week you can go to 2 miles. When you complete all those challenges, you feel good about yourself. You'll be like, oh man, I feel this. I beat my own challenge. Another thing we need to know about excitement is that you can easily get it by listening, for example, favorite music. So tomorrow when you go to work, and you see that guy next to you, like jamming in the car, just be smooth. Just look at him and just, acknowledge that there's a substantial amount of excitement going on next to that person next to you. So what we need to do here is to go to the next step. And I'm really, really excited about our next session, which is the table topic with Toastmaster Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alain. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honoured guests. My name is Stuart Bryson, and I will be the Table Topics Master for this evening. Table Topics is a section of the meeting that allows guests and members to practice their impromptu speaking. I'll ask a series of questions and ask people to come up and give impromptu answers. Given our theme of happiness tonight, I thought it might be interesting to start with some statistics. Is Disney World the happiest place on earth? No, it's actually Finland, followed by Denmark and Switzerland in third. The United States is 19th, so we're all very fortunate to live in a relatively happy country. So for our first question, can I have a volunteer from either in person or online? Okay, Junior, come on up. Okay, Junior. So for me personally, there is one thing that can elicit absolute joy or make me gravely depressed. There is no in between, and that is golf. For you personally, what is your golf?
My golf would have to be art. So I'm an artist, and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2018 from New York City. And my hopes of becoming an artist right after college was shot when I moved back home from college. I did not know how to start. I didn't know where to begin. I had no confidence or any type of motivation to get me started. So I settled for a corporate job working in New York City to make money. I was in the New York City grind, just hustling. I developed the skills in the corporate world to climb the ladder and be the best that I can be. When I moved to Charlotte, I knew that it was my time to change. It was my time to pursue my dreams. And my dream of becoming an artist started to become real. And that's when I took the bold steps to start working on my art full time and do the things that just made me more happy and bring me happiness. So every single day I took the steps to develop my skills, and it came to a point 2 years later where I became a full-time artist. And now I'm in the road of pursuing my passions, pursuing my dreams, and living the happiest life I can possibly live.
Fantastic answer, Junior. You must be very brave to have gone from the corporate world to pursuing art as your full-time career. That's great to hear. Okay, can we have our second volunteer? Anyone online? Oh, okay, Matt. Is it Matt? Yeah. Okay, Matt, come on up. So, Matt, we've all heard the old adage, money can't buy you happiness, but I think sometimes it can. Tell us about a time that money has bought you happiness.
Of course. Thank you. So yeah, I would agree with that. Money can't always buy you happiness, but money can buy you experiences. And this wasn't my personal money, so it was my parents' money. So I appreciate them. But for, I think it was the Christmas of 2020, instead of getting gifts, I was okay with, we were going to go to Costa Rica. And that trip was absolutely amazing. It was a trip where we went biking, we went hiking, I went surfing, and it was just amazing. And I think money is a tool you can use. You need to, I think, invest in experiences because those are something that's going to last. It's like a memory. If you use it on things that are superficial, those things when you die go away. But when you create memories, create a legend, that's something that lasts. So I think it's important to use your money as a tool for the betterment of yourself and the betterment of other people. Thank you.
Great response, Matt. Thank you for that. Okay, for our third question. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Dwayne, come on up, Dwayne. Thank you. So Dwayne, I feel that happiness ebbs and flows throughout our life, given the things that we go through and as we progress in age. At what age were you at your most happiest?
I would have to say my happiest moment came probably at age 9. I'm from Jamaica and I came to America at age 9, not knowing what to expect. And I got to tell you, it was a life-changing experience. I think my first time being here, I probably went through moments where every car on the road was my favorite car because I hadn't seen cars like that before. Food was different. Life was different. So for me, I think coming to America, the summer after that probably was even better because I gained probably 80 pounds because I wasn't outside running around. It was cold. I couldn't lose weight, but I was a happy kid because I enjoyed a lot of food. So that's really it. Yeah, age 9.
Well done, Dwayne. That was excellent. Something I can very much relate to as well, coming to America and eating 6 corn dogs at my first restaurant here. Mr. Toastmaster, do we have time for one more question or shall we move on? Okay, if not, then please record your ballot, give it to Jamie, and I'll pass you back to Toastmaster Alan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the participants. It was a great experience. Thank you very much. Our third form of happiness tonight is going to be something that we already know, something that we live with most of the time. And I'm going to call it gratitude. Toastmasters and guests, this is a very important form of happiness because it disappears exactly as it comes. This is a very important form of happiness because it requires consistency. Believe it or not, gratitude is something that should be lived to the full extent. People that live with gratitude on a daily basis tend to live better and healthier than those that don't. And I strongly believe that we should cultivate this habit by beginning with self-appreciation. Do you know this? Sometimes people will just make a mistake and call themselves, oh, I'm an idiot. That's bad. You're hurting yourself, you're hurting your feeling, you're calling yourself idiot. If you make a mistake tomorrow, just learning, just take it as a learning curve. Just take it as a learning opportunity versus calling you idiot. How can you appreciate somebody when you cannot appreciate yourself? The thing about gratitude is that he feel your ego, he feel that spirit that you don't even know exists. And I think everybody should be grateful when you wake up. You should be grateful when you go to work. You should be grateful when you make every single step to accomplish your day. I am grateful to fellow Toastmasters and guests that you're here tonight, and I'm grateful that we have Toastmaster David ready to take over for his role. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before I start my role as general evaluator, Toastmaster Elvis, can we get a timers report for our table topics contestants?
Sure. Junior was at 1 minute, 25 seconds. Matt, 1 minute, 8 seconds. And Dwayne, 55 seconds. They all qualify.
Perfect. And I think that was one of the first times we've had all guests as table topics members. And if you don't make a minute, that's fine because you're a guest. Doesn't matter. Now, as general evaluator, my role is to evaluate the meetings as a whole and also to introduce the evaluators who will be evaluating the speakers. That's part of Toastmasters is you don't just get up and give a speech and then wonder how you did. We have peers that will evaluate your speech and let you know how you did. And we're going to start with Valentine Toastmaster Alain, and he's going to evaluate Andrea Chocolate Butterfly Williams. Please welcome Alain.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and of course, Andrea. Andrea just shared a very timely and relevant speech with it being Mother's Day coming up, as well as Teacher Appreciation Day today. She did a great job engaging the audience. For those of us who aren't necessarily mothers, but we've all had mothers, we have mother figures in our life, or you have people like me who are warm and nurturing like a mother. And I love the prop that Andrea used with the baby doll. It was cute. And what I really appreciated was she didn't just hold it. She actually looked at it like a mother would look at a newborn. Otherwise, it would have just been an unnecessary prop. So that was great use of a prop. She also did a really nice job paying equal attention to every side of the room, as well as looking directly at the cameras so people who were on Zoom could make direct contact with Andrea as well. Normally, at the end of a speech, you have a call to action, or at least you should have one. And she had not one, but two calls to action that both coincided perfectly with the structure of her speech. The first call to action was reflecting on what your own mother did for you. And then the second call to action for anyone who is a mother or father to respect the decisions that your children may make, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. The biggest hurdle in your speech was your tone. I had a pretty difficult time hearing you throughout the beginning of your speech. It appears that you increased your volume kind of about halfway through, which I'm really thankful for. But in the end, I had to really listen closely. And I even did this. And I'm concerned that I may have missed some important items throughout your speech. So I would just make sure that you talk a little bit more audibly for your future speeches. And then also incorporate more vocal variety into your speech. For example, use a little bit more of an upbeat tone when your daughter finished her basic training or finished college, or maybe used a lower tone or sounded more indignant if she didn't do something you wanted. And then, of course, don't say thank you when giving the end of your speech, because we should be thanking you for delivering that speech. So at the end of the speech, just say, Mr. Toastmaster, back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, something like that. So speaking of thank you, I will say thank you for sharing that speech with us. Thank you for delivering one that was from the heart and for eliciting emotions across the room. And I look forward to hearing you speak again. Mr. General Evaluator.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I would agree with Alan. When we have this mic in our hand, we tend to talk lower instead of projecting. A couple weeks ago, we ran out of batteries. Let me check no, we're still good on batteries. So we all had to project a lot. So we don't have this. We need to learn to project. Our next evaluator is going to be our club president, Vanessa, and she's going to evaluate Dr. Harvey. So go ahead and take it away, Vanessa.
Thank you, David. And thank you, Dr. Harvey, for another really energizing speech. For those who don't know, Dr. Harvey recently completed level 3 in Pathways, which is an amazing accomplishment. And we can tell that you're getting into more advanced speaking because the topic of your speech tonight was very technical. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of focus to be able to present a 5 to 7 minute speech and remember all of these technical details while also keeping a lot of energy. And you did that very well tonight. There are a couple areas I wanted to focus on that you did both very well and that also present, I think, some opportunities for even further growth as you complete your pathways beyond level 3. And the first topic is technique, and the second is more organization and content. Because Toastmasters does focus a bit on technique, I'll focus on that first. One thing you do really well, Dr. Harvey, and I always love this, is the amount of energy you bring. And we've all heard the importance of being able to hear clearly, to be able to understand what a speaker is sharing. So volume, of course, is really vital. And it's also vital for keeping the energy high in the room so that your audience gets excited to hear what you have to say. But I also think volume can be a useful tool, not just to energize, but to create, well, perhaps the best way to say it is a bit of drama, a bit of anticipation. Because if your volume is at the same level throughout the speech, the audience sometimes tunes out a little bit. We may not want to, but sometimes we get used to hearing a certain type of voice or a certain type of volume. And subconsciously, we'll start to let our minds wander at the end of the day. And I think one thing you could do even more is practice your softer voice and go up to a louder volume to create that drama and that excitement as your audience is listening to you. In terms of content and organization, you had some really interesting technical ideas to share, and you had a strong conclusion about how to use PR to represent your brand, how to connect with customers. One thing I think you could challenge yourself on, because it's such a detailed, complex topic that not many of us are familiar with, you could stick to the concept of repeating ideas. And I know it sounds boring, but actually listeners find it helpful if you say the same idea at the beginning, the middle, and the end of your speech. And maybe you have 2 main points and you repeat them in the introduction, you repeat them in the middle when you're talking about your detailed information. And then finally at the very end, just to remind us all of what you were sharing with us. And that technique can help us remember even better what these key takeaways are. All in all, I really enjoyed your speaking as usual, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more of your speeches as you advance through Pathways. I'll turn it back over to our general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vanessa, for your feedback. And Elvis, can we get a timer's report on our evaluators?
Absolutely. Alain did very well at 3 minutes 4 seconds, and Vanessa at 3 minutes 17 seconds. They both qualified.
Perfect. Thank you much. And those of you on Zoom, if you could send it to the club view, your vote for favorite evaluator. And I'm going to evaluate our 2 evaluators, and they're both experienced Toastmasters, and they did a thing called sandwich approach, where they talk about the good parts of the speech, room for improvement, and then they challenged them. So that is the best form of giving evaluations of people. Alan and Vanessa both talked about, what was good, where they needed to improve, and then they challenged the speakers. Alan challenged Andrea not to say thank you at the end, which is a Smedley no-no. And Ralph Smedley was the founder of Toastmaster. And that was one of the things, is we never say thank you as a Toastmaster. Like Alan said, we should thank the speaker for their speech. And Vanessa gave Dr. Harvey some opportunities about his vocal variety at the end. And that's the way we kind of improve upon our speeches. Now, for the meeting as a whole, this was Alan's first time as a Toastmaster, and it's also his second meeting in person. His first meeting, he did his icebreaker. Second meeting, he was Toastmaster. It's crazy, I know. But he had a lot of good transitions, and it was something that I really liked, where he would talk about something and he's just like, and with that, we're gonna. So I thought he did a really great job. He kept us on point, and he just went through all the different parts of the meeting. So I think he did a really great job. So congratulations. And with that, I'm going to ask for our grammarians report and see how we did as speakers tonight.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. All in all, I think we had a fantastic evening with great use of grammar. Let's go and first see who used the word of the day, illicit. Elvis used it. Andrea used it twice, or actually thrice. Stuart used it. And that's all in terms of word of the day. For our elusive uhs and ums, I'll go down the list. Junior, you had one small so in the beginning of your table topics. Toastmaster of the day, Alan, you had 3 uhs in the beginning as well. Ellis, you had very good, one small so. Jamie, in the very beginning, you had 2 uhs and 1 but they're very slight. Dr. Harvey Tran, well done. I counted 2 uhs and 1 but they were also very slight as well. Andrea, you had 2 uhs in the beginning of your speech. You had 1 toward the end, and thank you for a very delightful speech. Then we moved over to David. David, you had 1 in the beginning introducing Alan, 2 ums introducing the GE, the general evaluators, and Dwayne, you had 1 along with quotes. What I picked up that throughout the evening, I have from Andrea, everybody is given to someone. From our Toastmaster of the day, Alan, happiness is a choice. Dr. Harvey Tran, become a better version of myself. And Junior, living the happiest life I could possibly live. Matt, use money as a tool for the betterment of yourself and others. And last, Alan, Toastmaster of the day, we should cultivate the habit of self-appreciation. David, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to our Toastmaster of the night, who's going to introduce our ballot counter, I believe is your next one. So it's on there. It's his first time, so we're training. You're doing great. Ask ballot counter for winners.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we had some little hiccups. So I'm going to invite Toastmaster Jamie for ballot counting so we can get the winners of tonight. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alan. And I am happy to be here to award our favorite speakers for this evening. I've elicited all your votes. It's not too late, Sean. You can still squeeze me in there. All right. For our first award, our favorite speaker, again, a close competition. So congratulations to both Andrea and Dr. Harvey. But our favorite speaker today is Toastmaster Andrea. All right, on to our favorite table topic. Again, a very close competition and awesome to have all of our guests participating. Tonight, our favorite table topic speaker was Junior. Junior had to leave, But we will make sure that we give him his ribbon the next time he's here. He says he'll be back next week. For our last category, our favorite evaluator, again, a very close competition, and our favorite evaluator today goes to Vanessa. Congratulations, Toastmaster Vanessa. All right, great evening. Thank you all, and I will turn it back to our Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jamie. Thank you for all the participants and the winners. So just as a reminder, don't forget, right after the meeting, you can start signing up for roles for next Tuesday. As we all know, happiness is priceless. We can all agree on that. You cannot buy happiness. We all know that those that are happy achieve more than those that don't. Please let us do more things that will bring joy, that will bring more excitement in our lives. And don't forget to cultivate gratitude. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster Vanessa.
Thank you, Alan. An excellent first time hosting our Toastmasters meeting as our Toastmaster of the evening. I have to say, it's rare. I don't think I've ever seen someone do their icebreaker and then very soon afterwards host the Toastmasters meeting. So congratulations, and you did such an excellent job. And tonight, usually what we do for those who are new is we go around and ask guests for their thoughts and their feedback on the meeting. And I know we had a couple guests joining us on Zoom. We had Ken and Eugene. I don't know if either one of you would like to share or if you're just listening in. It looks like we have just those two guests on Zoom tonight. And then I know we have some guests in person. Looks like we got someone maybe on mute, but maybe let's ask guests in person. Are there any thoughts for us or any feedback or ideas that you gleaned from the meeting tonight?
Hey, Vanessa, it's Jamie. So I'm going to start with Taiki. If you can give us your feedback and any observations and what you're going to think about next in terms of Toastmasters.
Yeah, it was really good. It was so different from what I experienced in Japan because, well, in Japan, English is not their native language. And what this is like, you guys speaking, most of them speaking their native language. And it's very interesting. And it's like the speeches are very more technical. And I would like to come back here and learn more. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
Takai, for
you.
joining us.
All right, and now our next guest is Matt.
Yeah, thank you. I really, in Valentine, at least we didn't have those lights, which I think is really helpful for the speeches, especially visually to see right away where you're at with your speech. I also like the hybrid method. I haven't experienced it before, but I think y'all do a really good job at this club. But I'm planning on coming back. Got to make sure I'm not playing volleyball on Tuesdays. My friend signed me up, so we'll see what's happening. But I really enjoyed Toastmasters. I think it's a really good challenge for everyone personally. But thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt, for joining us.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, it was good. I thank y'all for having me. I'm not even sure at this point if I should be considered a guest, but it's always good to come and see everyone and see another thriving club. And if it didn't take me over an hour to get here every Tuesday after work, I'd come more often, but I like to come when I can. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan, for joining us. It was great to see you.
All right, now we have Dwayne.
I'm not new to Toastmasters, fellow word, but I do appreciate the variety. And I think whenever I come here, I always get a variety of speeches from a variety of backgrounds. So that's always good to see.
Awesome. Thank you for coming out tonight.
And Troy.
Hey, everybody, this is my first time. I had no prior research or anything. So I came in here blank slate, and I really appreciate the format. It's interesting, and the way you run everything, and it's I can see how it can help improve everybody's communication. So looking forward to learning more.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Troy. And last but not least, Mariah.
I have enjoyed very much this meeting. I love the format, how much feedback everyone gets. And yeah, thank you for continue having, an in-person, because it is very different than online. So I appreciate that you're continuing with this meeting. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I'll just put a quick plug in. I'm the treasurer. So if anyone would like more information about signing up for Toastmasters full-time, for Queen City Toastmasters specifically, just come see me afterwards and I'm happy to share my information. All right, back to you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Jamie. And just one little announcement from me. So be on the lookout, club officers, for an email from me to schedule our next board meeting. And hopefully we can fit it in prior to the start of our regular meeting around 5:30 on Tuesday. So I'll be sending that email out shortly. Are there any other club officer announcements before we adjourn?
I believe the only one is to start finding replacements for you and all the other board members. We're going to have the elections, I believe, in June for the new board of directors for the annual term. That might be it.
Good point, David. Yes. So just so everyone is aware, our current board of leadership is sort of expiring at the end of June. So if you are interested in participating in the club leadership and growing as a leader, please reach out to one of the officers, myself, David, Elvis. I think we have a couple others, Jamie, we have some people in person, but please feel free to reach out to one of us and we'd love to help you and answer any questions.
Okay, and as you know, I don't like to pat myself on the back, but Andrea suggests that I do that. I was elected as division director Thursday. So I will be division director of Division C, and that's always a feather in the cap of the home club of the division director. So that is going to be my role starting July 1st.
Yes, thank you, David, for reminding me. I was remiss in not mentioning that, but yes, that's a great accomplishment.
And also, thank you, Andrew. Andrew is keeping, you should definitely be on the board to keep me on check. Dr. Eric came in 3rd place for international speech contest. Also, well, table topics, and he's only been in the club for 6 months, and he made it. You have to go through 4 different competitions. He's not here tonight, but he got 3rd place, so that was great for him as well. So.
Yes, we did very well. And actually, Sarah Mary also came in 3rd place in her international speech, and she's at the South Park Toastmasters. So together we did pretty well, I think.
We did.
In the district.
And I think that, and for the guest, South Park is our sister club. They meet Mondays from 12 to 1 o'clock on Zoom only. But if you join Queen City, you get to go give speeches and participate with them as well. So you get opportunity to do 2 different speeches per week. And out of, Alan mentioned clubs that are striving, and I just found out that Queen City, we are presidential. We've been presidential, which is the top tier. Out of 110 clubs in the district, we're still the only presidential club, which means we're number 1. So thank you. Thank you for Vanessa and all the leadership. But yeah, we're going to be poor leaders if we don't end the meeting soon and just stop patting each other on the back. So I'll let you close us out.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again to everyone for joining us, both members and guests. And we will see you next Tuesday for another wonderful meeting, and have a great rest of your night.